The smell of coffee drifted across the room as Lena set the carafe on the conference table. At 32, she used the task of pouring as a disguise, not out of obedience but strategy. The silk blouse cuff hid the Cartier on her wrist, reminding her that no one here had a clue who actually ran the game. Margaret, her mother-in-law, tugged at her too-tight blazer and dropped her usual comment, "Don't spill anything, please. You've done enough to this family already." A nervous giggle rippled through the group. Ethan, her husband, kept his eyes glued to the laptop, a silence that had spared him fights for 5 years but cost Lena patience. She kept filling the cups without a tremor. Her Stanford MBA and the role of CEO at Novatech were still secret, Ethan's request, afraid of rattling his parents' fragile egos. Margaret tapped the table impatiently. "Hurry up, coffee girl. The CEO will be here any minute. We need to look professional." Lena held back a smile. "The CEO," she repeated to herself. Novatech had been quietly buying every available share of the family company for months. This meeting wasn't about offers, it was the final chapter of a takeover already sealed. While handing out the last cup, Lena looked up. The directors stared, puzzled, as she took the center chair, set the carafe down, and announced, "Thanks for waiting. We can start." The Cartier watch slipped into view above the table. Color drained from Margaret's face. Ethan finally let go of the laptop. In that instant, Lena needed no further introduction. The power had already shifted. The door opened slowly, and everyone's attention swung. "Sorry I'm late." Daniel Park, the CEO they all expected, stepped over the threshold and froze when he spotted Lena in the back holding a thermos. The pause was brief, but enough for the silent question in his eyes. "Mrs. Caldwell," he began. "Just Lena," she said with a small smile. "Cream and sugar?" Margaret, eager to regain control, slid between them. "Mr. Park, it's an honor to have you. Pay no attention to our daughter-in-law. The catering fell through, so she's helping out." Daniel raised his eyebrows. "Daughter-in-law?" "Unfortunately," Margaret sighed, not hiding her disdain. "But let's get to business. We got your offer last week. It's below what we had in mind." As her words echoed, Lena stepped to a corner and texted, "Play along. You'll get it." Daniel glanced at the message, cleared his throat, and took back the meeting. "I think we should start by reviewing the company's current situation before we talk numbers." A low murmur showed he'd regained the initiative. Investors straightened in their chairs. The tension now orbited him. Watching from afar, Lena clenched her phone. The scene was set. The next move could reset everyone's future. Margaret flashed the smile she saved for galas and launched into her usual speech. Her last name was a byword for tradition. The company still ruled the market, and things would get even better once Ethan took over as president next month. She skipped little details like falling sales and a dwindling bank account, details Lena knew line by line. Lena's phone blinked. The board meeting would start in 10 minutes. She gathered a folder of reports. "I have to go," she said, locking eyes with Margaret just long enough. The hostess sighed. "How inconsiderate. Family matters stay with the real family, dear." Lena answered with a half smile. "I agree. Daniel, see you there." Daniel, the operations assistant, lifted his glass. "See you in a bit, Madam CEO." Silence flooded the hall. Margaret's hand went slack. The crystal hit the marble and shattered. "CEO?" Ethan stammered, his face draining. "Lena, what's he talking about?" Lena straightened her shoulders, ready to end the act. "I think it's time to clarify who's buying whom. Novatech Industries, my company, already holds 48% of your shares. Today, I'm making an offer for the remaining 52%. Margaret covered her mouth. "That can't be. We would have been told." "You would have," Lena agreed, turning toward the door, "if you'd focused on the numbers instead of the canapes." She walked out without looking back, leaving the sound of shattered crystal as the prelude to the meeting that would decide the company's future. "Would they really know?" Lena asked, sliding a folder to the center of the table. "The same way they knew about the shell companies buying their stock, or about the real reason the contracts were lost last quarter. It's all documented." Ethan grabbed the stack of papers. His voice cracked. "You were spying on the family?" I did due diligence, Lena said calmly. You'd have noticed if you'd read the reports I gave you last year, but you believed your mother when she said I was meddling. Margaret traced the columns of numbers with a trembling finger. These figures can't— They're accurate, Daniel confirmed. Lena adjusted her blazer like sealing a deal. While I was pouring coffee, I learned everything about the company. The weaknesses were right there. All I had to do was watch. Ethan tried to sound firm. We'll fight back. Our lawyers— Work for the board, not you, Lena cut in. And from now on, the board works for me. Margaret's chair creaked as she collapsed into it. The wall clock struck 9 on the dot, the exact moment the company changed hands. Everything started with a question Lena could no longer swallow. Why all the pretending? She let her breath out slowly. 5 seconds to replay 5 years. Back then, she'd offered experience, contacts, capital. Margaret's response, cold as ice. Gold-digging daughters-in-law should know their place. Her wristwatch flashed. It was time to claim her own place. I need to get back to the company. Daniel? She called, already pointing toward the door. As she walked away, Ethan's voice reached her. Lena, wait. Let's talk. She only turned her head, never breaking stride. Like that Christmas Eve dinner when your mom announced you as CEO and told me to handle the dinners? Silence filled the memory. That chapter's closed, Ethan. We're talking business now. Her heels echoed across the marble all the way to the elevator. Inside the mirrored box, Lena saw what Margaret refused to see. Not a daughter-in-law, but a ready executive. Her phone buzzed. Daniel, her right-hand man. Brilliant move, boss. The board's waiting. A smile. Tomorrow the spreadsheets would arrive, the hard decisions, the company's turnaround. Tonight was payback, served with irony and one last cup of coffee. When the elevator doors opened, Lena Caldwell stepped into the lobby where part of the board was already waiting. Ms. Caldwell, they greeted, making way. Outside the glass walls, reporters swarmed like bees on fresh honey. News had traveled fast. The former coffee server had taken over the family business. Let them write, thought Lena. Let them record every step as she pulled the company back from the edge and took it to a new level. The press conference began. In minutes, Lena laid out a direct plan. Digitize processes, adopt sustainable manufacturing, protect current jobs. When she finished, the auditorium rose in applause. Ms. Caldwell, a reporter yelled as she set down the mic, what role will your in-laws play in the company? She kept smiling. Every hire and promotion will come from merit and competence. Now, if you'll excuse me, the board meeting awaits. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. 37 calls from Ethan, dozens of messages from Margaret, and one surprise, an email from Robert, her father-in-law. You outplayed us, it read. I should have listened when you warned us about our systems. The company's yours. Please protect our employees. Lena closed the phone. At last, someone had shown respect, even if late. As she entered the boardroom, a thought slipped out like a silent toast. Nothing's sweeter than beating them at their own game. The board had barely sat when the vote passed. Unanimous. Before sunset, the company's stock jumped 12% on news of the takeover. Leaving the building, Lena found Ethan leaning on her car. New record for cynicism, he said. Turning our marriage into corporate infiltration. She unlocked the door, calm. Funny to hear you talk about cynicism after 5 years of watching your mom tear me down. Fixing a mismanaged company is a crime now? Mom was always right. You're careful, Ethan. Lena looked up. The prenup dissolves if there's public defamation. Section 7, paragraph 3. Remember? Your mom insisted on that clause. His face flushed. Don't think you'll walk away clean. I already have. She opened the door. My stuff's out. The divorce papers arrive tomorrow. Relax. I don't want your assets. I've got a company to run. On the street, her phone buzzed again. Margaret. You'll regret this. No one will ever do business with you. Lena laughed. More notifications popped up. CEOs praising tonight's move. In the market, strategic vision beats family drama. In the first weeks, the shock hit hard. Lena shredded the old playbook, ironclad contracts in hand, total control secured. Before Margaret could rally shareholder relatives, every exit was locked. Ethan, eager to prove he was the natural heir, sat before the board and tripped over his own inexperience. "Mom's influence doesn't fill a spreadsheet," Lena said, voice steady. "We need people who know modern management, not another nepotism gift." The company flipped. Automated systems replaced outdated processes, a real HR department was born, and the books were thrown open. In a month, production jumped 30%, and fear culture gave way to meritocracy. Deliver and you rise. 3 months later, surprise knocked. Margaret walked in, pride still perfect, even if nothing else was. "I sold the house," she said flatly. "Keeping up appearances costs when the company vault's gone." Lena didn't look up. "Need something specific? How did you pull this off?" Margaret's voice shook. "Years serving coffee, hearing our jokes? Why didn't you ever say who you were?" Lena raised her eyes. "Would you have believed me? Or told Ethan to swap me for someone more appropriate?" Silence. The new chapter was already written. "We're family," Margaret insisted. "No, Margaret." Lena's voice stayed firm. "We never were. I was the outsider you tolerated because Ethan refused to marry your best friend's daughter, the coffee girl who fed your egos." Margaret took a breath. "And now you took everything." "No." Lena stood, closing the gap. "I saved what was left. The company had 3 months to bankruptcy. The employees you claim to care about were a step from jobless. I didn't steal anything. I rescued what your family's mismanagement almost destroyed." Margaret's shoulders sagged. "And Ethan?" "He chose his side every time he stayed silent while you belittled me. The divorce finalizes next week." Margaret left. Lena's phone buzzed. "Robert, I watched your presentation. I saw what Ethan and Margaret were too proud to see. You're exactly what this company needed. For what it's worth, I'm sorry." 12 months later, Lena took the stage at the annual meeting. Shares had doubled, employee satisfaction hit a record, and the company had entered 3 new markets. "Someone once called me the coffee girl," she said near the close. "Today I thank that person. Being underestimated can be your biggest advantage." The auditorium erupted in applause. Past midnight, Lena's assistant announced an unexpected visitor, Melissa, Ethan's former fiancée. "I hear you're looking for someone to lead a team," Melissa began, nervous. "I have an MBA from Harvard and earned every line of my resume without anyone's help. Unlike Ethan." Lena looked up, studying her. "Know the hardest part of reaching the top, Melissa?" "What?" she asked, holding her breath. "Remembering to give others the chance you once wanted." Lena pointed to the chair. "Let's talk about your experience." 2 years after the power grab, a white envelope landed on Lena's desk, a wedding invitation. Ethan wasn't marrying an executive but a real estate agent, far from the empire his mom imagined. Margaret, now in Florida, spent her days blaming the scheming ex-daughter-in-law. Lena sent a simple gift, a coffee maker with a handwritten note. "Some pour the coffee, others build the empire. Congrats on the wedding. Your former CEO." Every morning, crossing the lobby, Lena looked up at the new motto on the wall. "Success tastes best with a dash of humble beginnings." And she smiled, ready for the next chapter.